It's time for another edition of Around the Nest, the Blue Jays minor league podcast where we talk all things prospects, everybody in between, and have a little fun along the way. Tyler Zickel from the Vancouver Canadians joining you. And as always, a full nest. Always great to have representatives from all four rungs on the ladder. Pat from AAA Buffalo, Nathan from AA New Hampshire, and Andrew from Low A Dunedin. Gentlemen, happy Friday. It has been quite the week around the Blue Jays system. Some ups, some downs, specifically yesterday, some history made at a couple of different levels, and we're having some fun along the way. So with that, let's start with the guy who missed out on last week's edition simply because he was doing his job. Andrew Thriffiley, good day, AT. How you doing down there in Low A?
I am doing great. No rain yesterday. Hopefully no rain today. Like you said, some history last night. It's great. It's been great.
Let's dive right into it. A doubleheader against the so aptly named Fort Myers Mighty Muscles really rolls off the tongue. But in game two of a doubleheader, a little bit of history for the first time since the late 70s. I'll let you let the cat out of the bag, or in this case, let the DJ out of the bag.
Yeah, some great storylines from yesterday. So we've only played, three 9-inning games in the past 2.5 weeks. So of course, game two of the doubleheader after losing game one. We're a game two team. We prefer game twos. Very obvious. Trent came out earlier in the season. He would struggle throwing strikes, but he's getting a lot better. I think he's in like the 60% range the past few games. And last night he just was filling up the zone. Fun story here on this. Trent's mom was in attendance for the first time in 3 years. First game that she saw him play in 3 years. He went to graduated from Jacksonville University over in Jacksonville, Florida. So she never was able to make it down to see him play. And then obviously with last season being canceled, couldn't come down. So quite the experience to see your son throw a no-hitter in your first game, seeing him in 3 years. So it was a great experience, great to be a part of it. Very excited for him. Couldn't have been a better person. So just an exciting day all around.
They talk about the power of a mother's love, but I think this takes it to an entirely different stratosphere here. How cool is that? I mean, did you have a chance to talk to Trent since he recorded the final out yesterday about what it meant to have his mom in the stands?
I have not gotten to talk to him yet. We'll probably be doing an interview sometime next week with him to recap everything, but another fun little cherry on top of the whole thing. Minnesota kid as well. So being from Minnesota and kind of sticking it to the home team a little bit was a little extra for him.
You know, you could be allegiances in your heart and then allegiances across your chest. And Trent Palmer, good to know that he was able to stick it to the hometown team. A little extra juice. Who else has been standing out for you over the last week, AT?
I think somebody that we have to start watching as another record possibly. Stuart Burrow right now has 42 stolen bases on the season. The Dunedin Blue Jays record is 62. I think it happened in 1994. So we'll see if he can reach that. But I think there's more of a question across for all of us here is, how do we feel about, we have records, obviously it was harder to steal bases in high A compared to low A. So how do records transfer over for a team that used to be high A, now it's going to low A? Just interesting thing to think about. But Stewart's been great. I think he has 49 hits or so, 42 stolen bases. So maybe he can pass up stolen bases and hits. That would be something as well.
That would be something. And you bring up a great point also with, for example, the Canadians getting bumped up from a short season club to a full season. Obviously, those short season records might not hold the same weight as they do once you get to a full season campaign, if you will. But you know what? Always good to keep the record books open and look back for some comparisons and some context. So sounds like no matter what the stance is on those history books down there in the Low A Southeast, formerly the Florida State League, it's good to be making some history, whether or not it's as a Low A club or a High A club.
Yes, for sure.
Looking into that bullpen, who's been standing out of late coming in relief? We've seen a number of great performances, and it's led to a number of promotions that has benefited the Canadians' pen in that relief corps. So who stepped up to fill the gap after likes of Royther Hernandez, Adrian Hernandez, guys who got promoted some time ago, but now Thomas Rui, who made his high A debut just the other night. Who's filling in? I mean, not everybody's going to be 6'9", but at the same time, there are guys who are going to be able to come out and shove.
Yeah, I think just touching on Rui real quick and Joel Concepcion as well. Rui obviously struggled early and as of late pitched fantastic. So great to see him get the promotion. And then Joel Concepcion, he started the year as a starter, struggled a bit. And then once he started to get in that mindset of like, I'm going to go one inning and I'm going to give it everything I have in that 1 or 2 innings, he's sitting at 95 now instead of just touching it every once in a while. So for him to sit at 95 and then be able to throw that curveball, it's been devastating to see down here. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays up in Vancouver. We've had a lot of new names. Matt Swanson has 2 career saves, did it in his first 2 appearances. So that's somebody to look out for out of Lehigh. Again, new guys. Jimmy Burnett, I say, should be joining the team soon. A fellow St. Leo University alumni as myself. So exciting to have somebody from the old alma mater with me. And Justin Kelly is another guy that we just drafted. So a lot of just new faces in the organization in general in the bullpen. So it'll be interesting to see how they do for the rest of the season.
Looking ahead, we're in the last stretch here with the regular season coming to an end less than a month from now. What can we look forward to from the DJs? How is the schedule shaping up? Are those dastardly Tampa Tarpons ever going to be on the other side of the field between now and the last day of the regular season? Where are your compatriots feeling, or where are their heads at, if you will, as we get ready for this final stretch?
Yeah, I mean, they're always going to push for it. I mean, I think you're never going to doubt yourself until you get to the end of the season and you're officially out of it. I think we're officially minor league baseball's nicest team. I think we've gone 4 straight. I think we're at like a month, maybe over a month of splitting series. So we haven't been able to win a series, but we have also not lost a series in a month. So I think that's something to hang our hat on. But no, we're just having fun. Hopefully we can see some more history throughout the rest of the season, and we'll see what happens towards the end.
The Dunedin Blue Jays, America's nicest team. Put that on a t-shirt. My gosh, get it going in the TD Park gift shop. My goodness, I think you should get 10% of that cut as well. AT, sure. Thank you very much as always. Good to have you back on the nest, and stick around till the end if you'd like. I know you got business to attend to tonight, but we'll keep bouncing up and down around the ladder. You know what? Let's keep it pretty what's the word that I'm looking for? Sequential. I'll give you a quick Vancouver Canadians update. I'm going to say 3 things here. Thing number 1, last night, for the first time in 10 games, the Canadians failed to reach double digits in hits, yet they still won 9-4 behind 3 consecutive home runs. We love back-to-back-to-back jacks. Luis De Los Santos, a 3-run homer. Will Robertson hit his 2nd home run in high A. And Davis Schneider, who has been probably one of the biggest surprises for the Canadians offense this year, his 7th home run in limited action. He's right around 27 or 28 games played, and he's been with the club since just about the 3rd week of the season. So good to see Davis Schneider find that power stroke, even though he's getting limited opportunities. On the mound, Paxton Schultz last night put together a solid 5 innings of work. Sam Robertson the other night didn't get some help from the defense for his 2nd consecutive high A start. That being said, saw lots of flashes of excellence from the Zeiss Netherlands native, and it's been so great to finally get that SEM experience that you down there in Low A, Andrew, had got to have for the first 3 months of the year. He has been a nice addition. The guys love him, and he's been terrific to work with. And tonight, CJ Van Eyck looking to build on some recent success. Adam Kloffenstein going tomorrow, and with those new prospect rankings getting released just yesterday, those guys shifting a bit. So Kloffenstein now number 8, I believe, and Van Eyck goes from 7 to 14. Are those guys paying attention to that stuff? Probably not. You never know. They have phones and computers and they can access that type of thing. But that being said, it's been the best stretch of the season for those top 2 pitching prospects on the Canadians roster. And I would be remiss if I didn't provide an O update. Still trying to find it a little bit. The power is there, though he's in the midst of a hitless stretch that is 0 for 13 over his last 2.5 games, but seeing regular time at shortstop and got a start at 3rd base since he joined us from Low A Dunedin as well. So nice to see the young guys figuring it out. The roster is getting younger and younger and younger here in high A, and Thomas Rui making it taller and taller and taller. He is my first pick to play center on the Canadians pickup basketball team at 6'9", though maybe Kloffenstein could bang around there, 6'5", 245 pounds as well. Me, on the other hand, I'll be the Gipper. With that said, let's jump on up to Double-A New Hampshire. Nathan Strauss, back-to-back weeks. We got you in the hotel room in Harrisburg last week, and you're coming to us from the Tyler Zickel Memorial Road radio booth at Dunkin' Donuts Park in downtown Hartford, Connecticut, where the DJs might be the nicest team in baseball. That's the worst view in minor league baseball broadcasting, though Pat Malacaro in AAA Buffalo might have a few things to say about the field in Durham at DBAP. Nathan, good day.
Good day. It might be the worst view, but it's one of the all-around best ballpark experiences out there. Would strongly encourage any fan of the Northeast to make this your second destination after, of course, Delta Dental Stadium as well.
It is Delta Dental Stadium South there at DDP. Lots of success for the Fisher Cats since that ballpark opened in 2017, and the success continued last night. Solid win for the Cats, and it's been a solid series so far against one of their main rivals out there in the Northeast.
Yeah, I mean, to qualify it, Hartford has the worst record of any team from high A up throughout the entire affiliated system. Only Kannapolis and Fredericksburg, I believe, have fewer wins and a worse winning percentage on the year. Obviously, the Rockies farm system is also bottom 4 after the newest update as well. The Fisher Cats have struggled to put them away this season. After last night's win, the season series now stands at 13-8. They came into this with just a 10-8 edge in the first 3 series, but the Yard Goats are the worst hitting team in the league. They're hitting just 225. New Hampshire leads the league, now hitting 263. And that's pretty much been the story. 2 narrow 3-2 wins the last couple of nights after a 12-0 demolition where the Cats had 12 hits through 4 innings and didn't really slow down since then. But if I could highlight one player before I know you have some questions, it would be Adrian Hernandez, who, well, actually both Adrian Hernandez and Brandon Eisert, who picked up saves this past week in 1-run games. Eisert had a 6-out save yesterday. He stranded the tying runner on second. Hernandez tied a Fisher Cats record with 4 wild pitches in half an inning, but did strand the tying runner at third. 2 big performances from guys who I think are shooting up, especially Hernandez in the prospect rankings.
Yeah, a couple of guys where they started the year in low A, now find themselves in double A, and with less than a month of the regular season in the minors to go, you never know, especially as a left-handed pitcher in Brandon Eisert, and that dastardly changeup for Adrian Hernandez, who I would argue can get major league hitters out today, though, of course, as you mentioned, some other things to refine. And that's why we're in the minor leagues. We're developing, trying to get better and improve those weaknesses as those guys continue to chase big league dreams. You talked about the offense a little bit, Nathan, but who are some guys maybe having an emergence here over the last couple of weeks who might have struggled over their first part of the year, or perhaps as a recent addition, say a guy like Ryan Gold, still trying to figure it out in double A, but certainly there must be some guys who have started to come into their own over the last couple of series.
Well, yeah, I think Chavez Young, first and foremost, has been really emerging lately. He is one of the older outfield players that we have on our team. He's 25 now, I think, either 24 or 25. And he's someone who was initially projected to be in the majors by this season, going off of his prospect rankings over the last couple of years. Defensively, he's fantastic. He has the highest graded arm in the Blue Jays system. He had 3 outfield assists from center field on Saturday against Harrisburg, which does not set the record for New Hampshire, but his 9 assists from center field this year are more than any other team in Double A has from the center field position. So his arm and speed are fantastic, but the power has been emerging lately as well. He has 4 home runs this month. He had home runs in back-to-back nights, Tuesday and Wednesday. He is, I want to say now, 6 for 9 or 6 for 10 on this series, and he his first home run batting as a righty. He's a switch hitter with the splits pretty dramatically favor him on the left-hand side. Otherwise, you mentioned Adrian Hernandez being able to get major league hitters out today. He and Luis Quinones have the best individual pitches, I think, in the entire Blue Jays organization, at least below AAA. Quinones has his devastating 12-6 curve that has been just an impeccable strikeout pitch. He's striking out 15 batters per 9 in Double A right now. And, he went 5 innings, giving up 1 hit, no runs, picked up his first Double A win on Wednesday. Meanwhile, Hernandez has that changeup, which is, I think, a 65 grade change, which is obviously far and away the highest in the organization. And then otherwise, players who have been stepping up offensively. I mean, Vinny Capra has been doing Vinny Capra things and hitting, 540 against lefties and 350 all in all. And otherwise, everyone else has been, you get the benefit of facing a Yard Goats team that is not very good on the mound. But everyone else has been producing as you would expect. Kevin Vicuña went 8 for 20 against Hartford a couple of weeks ago. He has had, I think, 4 hits this series. They've all been singles, but otherwise, guys are, I think, powering through at this point in the season. It's the time when the days get longer.
The Fisher Cats a game under 500 entering their contest tonight at Dunkin' Donuts Park. You got 3 more games against the Yard Goats. Give us a little bit of a snapshot of what's to come for the Fisher Cats over this final stretch. And Nathan, as you enjoy your last bits of summer before heading back to UMass.
Yeah, so the schedule doesn't get that much more challenging, except next week at home, New Hampshire faces the Binghamton Rumble Ponies, who, for whatever reason, despite being a below 500 team, have had New Hampshire's number this year. They took 4 of 5 games from New Hampshire at the newly named Mirabito Stadium back in early July, and that's the only series New Hampshire has lost since the middle of May. And they also, I believe, split a 6-game set in early June, and they have been bolstered by some additions like Brett Beatty, who's one of the highest ranked Mets prospects, and Mark Vientos, who has 21 home runs now on the season. So we have them for 6 games. Then Portland comes to town for the rare 8-game series. It's nominally a 7-game series, a doubleheader on the Saturday, but Tuesday we have to complete a suspended game from July 4th. So all in all, there could be some big swings there. I think it's safe to say at this point, New Hampshire is not going to be a playoff team. But it's hard, when you start off the year with guys like Gabriel Moreno and Otto Lopez, who's obviously now become the 139th Fisher Cat to debut in the major leagues. And shout out to Kevin Smith as well for becoming 140. The team has changed a lot. It's got a lot younger. This team is, I think, the youngest team in the league by average age. So all in all, I think guys are just using these last 4 weeks as a showcase for, the eyes in the organization when it comes to placement for next year.
One of the youngest teams in the league, and on the call, one of the youngest broadcasters in the circuit, but certainly age is just a number because Nathan Strauss always coming with the hard-hitting information. Mr. Strauss, thanks as always. And finally, have you been to the Sloppy Waffle yet?
What is the Sloppy Waffle?
I will leave it at that. If you know, you know, but you don't know, do a little Googling. And I'm not sure where they're putting you up while you're in Hartford. Maybe you're commuting, couldn't really tell you, but that would be worth taking a look. It's by the team hotel, or at least it was when I was there. And if you don't go to the Sloppy Waffle, then have some of that in-park barbecue or something Dunkin' Donuts related at Dunkin' Donuts Park while you're there for the rest of the week.
I certainly shall. I have been commuting. I've been moving apartments up in Amherst, about an hour away. So, but I'll check it out maybe before Sunday afternoon's game.
Keep it in the back of your mind. Nathan Strauss, thanks as always. NHFisherCats.com, AN 610 WGIR. You can hear him do his thing all weekend long from Dunkin' Donuts Park. That's AA New Hampshire, last and the opposite of least. Pat Malacaro, AAA Buffalo, coming to us from the Empire State. Speaking of Binghamton, we're not going to the southern tier, but we're finding you in the Cuse today, Pat.
Yeah, we're here in Central New York as the Bisons have a rain-shortened series. It was supposed to be 6 games against the Syracuse Mets. Rainouts on Tuesday and Wednesday forced the cancellation of one of those games, and the Bisons looking to pick up a win after being swept in the doubleheader on Thursday. So it'll be an interesting series now for the rest of the weekend. Is pitching is not going to be a problem for Buffalo in terms of the amount of arms and guys with a lot of rest. So we'll see how things shake out.
I want to talk to you about yesterday's doubleheader sweep at the hands of the Mets. Obviously, Syracuse, a team that the Bisons have handled quite well throughout the entire season. But hey, it's the game of baseball. Anybody can beat anybody on any given day. And a couple of close ones yesterday. So if you could kind of put on your doctor's hat and give us a prescription of what didn't go right for the Bisons yesterday to see them lose 2 consecutive games, which has been a rarity over this last 6 weeks to 2 months.
Well, the one thing we talked about a lot recently is how consistent this team is. And yesterday was not one of those days. The offense is not going to be there every night. That's not a surprise. But in a day where you get Cullen Large hit a couple of solo home runs, it was errors that really hurt the Bisons the most. A team that does not commit many. I think they were 4th fewest in AAA baseball heading into yesterday as a team. So in game 1, it was what should have been a double play ball. You don't even get a out of it. So the inning is extended by 1, really 2 outs, and Syracuse scores 3 times in the in the first game in one inning to win 4-3. Then the second game, you get a stolen base where the ball sails into center field. That's one error. And then Forrest Wall picks up his eyes a little bit to look at the runner, and the ball goes off his glove. That's a second error. And what turns out to be the game tying run results in, 2 errors on the play. So that's a run that shouldn't have scored. And then you look at in the bottom of the 6th inning, unfortunately, the twilight here had a ball lost in it. Logan Wormuth couldn't find it in the twilight of the night sky. That was a double. Batter later, 2 batters later, Josh Reddick hits a go-ahead base hit. So it was a night where the Bisons just didn't have their best defensively, and offensively they just did not have enough hits to go around. The pitching was very good. Nick Allgaier and Bowden Francis each could have gone all 7 innings, if not for just needing other guys to come in and pitch, like Anthony Castro on his Major League Rehab assignment, or Nate Pearson, the birthday boy today, to pitch an inning yesterday. So the pitching staff held its own. It's just a matter of, it was one of those days.
We had Nathan Strauss touch on Kevin Smith when we were doing our Fisher Cats update, but I'm not going to say we manifested his call up in last week's episode, but we were knocking on the door, much like Kevin has been doing for the last over a month, let's call it. He has certainly been torching AAA East pitching, and a guy who gets that well-deserved call up. So for you, Pat, who's going to fill that role left behind by Kevin, a guy who was leading the team and amongst league leaders in so many offensive categories?
Well, just in terms of that, Tyler White will be that guy. He had his 13-game hitting streak snapped yesterday, but he has a 15-game on-base streak. He walked in each of the games yesterday, overtook Kevin for the lead in the team batting average about a week ago. He's sitting in right around 290 right now. High water mark was about 295. So the 0 for 6 yesterday, 0 for 4 yesterday with 2 walks drops that a little bit, but he's been somebody who the power numbers have been ticking up. Only hit 1 home run, I think, over the first month plus of the season, but now is up to 9. So a lot of his home runs have come lately. He's been somebody that, as the Bisons have needed big hits, a veteran presence that has been able to give them that. So he's somebody now, and I also look to guys like Josh Palacios, who is back from a broken hand, who he feels the center field role or the outfield role for the Bisons, but somebody who can hit the ball well and play all facets of the game defensively well for the team. So a couple of different players will fill that role, but I think it's one that the Bisons have definitely seen others step up to throughout the course of the year. And then you've got guys like Christian Colon, who have been here all year long, that may have been a little bit of a slide lately, but are on an uptick.
What about Cavan Biggio? What's it been like having a guy who has rocketed through the system, stuck in the major leagues for some time, is obviously part of that youth movement, has had a lot of great moments in the bigs, but now kind of retooling a little bit and figuring it out. What's Cavan's impact been like?
Well, I think you can always see their impact by how they play the game and what their attitude is. And I go back to yesterday, it just, Casey Candell had a doubleheader to fill out, and losing Otto Lopez, losing Kevin Smith, and not getting anybody back. The Bisons are really playing a little bit shorthanded right now. So you've got to mix and match your pieces a little bit for 2 7-inning games. And Casey saw Kevin walk by the office and said, "Hey, can you play 2 today?" And he said, "Absolutely, whatever you need." And for a guy on a Major League Rehab assignment who has not really hit the ball well at all, defensively he's been fine, but at the plate, my broadcast partner Duke McGuire thought his swing was a little bit long and a little bit, doing a little too much at the plate. So for a guy who's really been struggling, he comes out yesterday and has, I think, 3 hits, including a 2 for 4 game in the first game of the doubleheader, scored a run in each game. So he's a guy that has figured it out and has the right attitude, and somebody who, when he goes back to the big leagues, he won't be any worse for the wear. So I think it's always coming in, having the right attitude, and fitting in this clubhouse that seemingly has had the right pieces all year long. That is not out of character for Cavan Biggio.
Let's take a look ahead for just a moment. 3 more games left with Syracuse this week, or 3 more days there in Syracuse, and an opportunity starting tonight, a half game up in the division. So the Bisons, despite those losses yesterday, still holding fast to that top spot, and specifically a testament to all the work that they've put in over the last 6 weeks, putting together all of those wins, not only to overtake Scranton Wilkes-Barre, but to stay at that top spot against some really tough competition elsewhere around the league. So as you look ahead, Pat, what can we expect from Buffalo? What's the schedule looking like? And where do you see the vibes, if you will, of this team taking the Bisons over this last month stretch?
Well, just immediately, these 3 games against Syracuse could be the toughest games, at least of the teams that they're playing, because Syracuse is playing their best baseball of the season. They've won 7 in a row now, including that doubleheader sweep yesterday. But the Bison pitching staff, tonight it's Zach Lowe. Tomorrow it's supposed to be Thomas Hatch. And on Sunday, you get Casey Lawrence, who's come back and pitched very well. So, the pitching staff is going to be able to hold their own. Worcester is a team that has given Buffalo fits all year long. Doesn't matter if Worcester's been good or bad or indifferent. They've been a team that has had the Herd's number. So next week at home against Worcester will be an interesting series. And then you get Scranton Wilkes-Barre, the team that is immediately on the heels of the Bison. So these next 2.5 weeks should be very interesting. And for people that don't know it, there are no playoffs. We've talked about that. But the regular season concludes on September 19th. That's when you'll crown your AAA East champion. And those 10 extra games as part of the stretch run will count for something different. So if the Bisons want to have a chance at tracking down Durham, about 3-4 games back of them for the best record in the league, they're going to have to do it over the next month, not 6 weeks, in order to get that best record.
Well, we'll certainly be following along. And Pat, before we say goodbye to you and wrap up this episode, as always, let us all know where we can find Bisons baseball. I would venture to say that's the most exciting team in the system right now, not just based on the record, but based on some of the guys who are on that roster. We've seen a lot of guys go up to the majors already that we've talked about here on this episode, but where can we keep up to date with all things Bisons baseball and listen to you and Duke call those games?
The two best ways are to find us at bisons.com. We've got links to everything, whether it's the audio feed of the broadcast. You can find the video feed as well. The First Pitch app, you'll find it there. But also if you find us on social media at Buffalo Bisons, before every game, we'll tweet out links to the game day, the audio, the video, everything you need to know. So those are the best ways to find us online and on social media. It'll have everything you need and make it as easy as possible to tune into the Bisons no matter where you are.
Nobody better to talk Buffalo Bisons baseball than Pat Malacaro. Pat, thanks as always. And as we reach another edition or the end of another edition of Around the Nest, an exciting time for the Blue Jays system. Promotions are happening. We're having success at each level of the minors right now. Tons of prospects ranked up and down the system. So certainly a great time to be a part of the nest as we go around it each and every week. For my co-hosts, Pat, Andrew, and Nathan, I'm Tyler Zickel from the Vancouver Canadians. We will see you next week on another edition of Around the Nest.